Hello?
Hi.
Hi there. Were you in Fred's lesson just now? Hello there. Manuel, hi. Can't hear you, Manuel. Manuel, can't hear you. No. Can you hear me? Yeah,
yes,
now
and now you can hear me.
yeah, now I can. Longwin, are you there?
Yeah.
Hi there.
Hi.
Now,
Hello.
today we're going to do some reading. Were any of you in my previous reading group?
No.
No.
Okay, so in that case then we'll do something new today. So I'm going to post an article and see if you can open it and then be ready to read. It's quite an interesting article about some strange happenings in taxis. Does anybody here ever use a taxi?
Yes, sometimes.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, sometimes.
Too many. How are you, Leon?
Hi, yeah, I'm okay. So tell me about the taxis in your city. What are the taxis like? Are they good?
Yeah, it's good. You mean taxis is a car, right? Or taxis?
Not. I mean, they sound the same, don't they? I mean, taxis, transport, not taxis, money that you pay.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. So we're looking at taxis today, or a particular story related to taxis. You know.
Cool.
So if you can open the page, that will help. But I shall post some of the text into the chat too, for those people that can't open it. And then we're going to look at this. It's all about people going on taxis and then maybe losing things. Have you ever left anything on a train or a taxi?
No.
Yes, but it was when I was very young. It was a toy.
What did you lose?
A toy.
Right, and
when I was very, very, very young.
I've lost things on trains more often than taxis, actually.
What did you lose?
I always used to, if it was raining in the morning, I'd pick up an umbrella and go on the train to London and then put the umbrella on the overhead rack in the train. And then it was sunny and I would leave the umbrella by accident, by mistake.
Oops.
And I've done that maybe 5 or 6 times, I think. Yeah. And has anyone else left anything in a train?
Umbrella is easy to lose because the weather can change. So in the morning you can need it, but in the afternoon you don't.
Yeah, I live in a part of the world where the weather changes very quickly. I don't know anywhere else where the weather changes as much. I live in the southeast of England, and on the same day I've seen snow, sunshine with green grass, hail, blue skies, wind. So it's really can be crazy like that sometimes.
Um,
And what about where you live? Does the weather change quickly?
No, My friend, by the way, my friend lost his phone weeks ago in a taxi. He was charging his mobile in the taxi. He lost it. He got it back when he called him. The taxi driver went back to him.
That's great. That's good to hear, isn't it? When people give you your property back that you've lost. That's happened to me sometimes. That's great. Now, I've just put my mains plug into my laptop computer and I've lost my screen. So I don't know whether I can see you again. Seems like I've lost you. Who's got the noise in the background? Can you just maybe keep your microphone muted and then unmute when you speak?
He's Rakish. I muted him.
Ah, well, if he wasn't speaking, then okay, good. So, yeah, I can't see anybody at the moment because I've just plugged in my mains adapter, and I was running on batteries. So maybe I have to leave and come back, but my whole screen is blank. Well, okay, well, I'll try and carry on and see if I can. Maybe if I refresh the page, I might leave the chat. Let's see. If I'm gone, then I'll be back in a second. I'm just trying to get back in so that I can see everybody.
Hello.
We can't hear you. We can't, sorry.
Yeah, okay, I've unmuted as well, so I had to kind of re-enter. Good, so I hope we're still here in Verbling as well. Let me see. Let me just check in Verbling if they can still hear us. I think they can. So, do you have the page?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so let's have a look at this page then, and after each little bit of text that we read, after each paragraph, we've got some questions as well. So we're going to start with, one moment, start with, Hesam, let's start with you, shall we? Are you there?
Me?
Yeah, let's start with you since you're speaking anyway. So
Okay.
At the beginning of the first paragraph, we've got the situation starting, and it's talking about why people might be having a problem. And so, could you read the paragraph first of all?
Okay. I can see the article. I opened the page. The forgetful passenger is this one?
Yes, that's it. And just paragraph 1 where it says, it may be.
It may.
Okay. It may be that Londoners switch off when they are in the comfort of a taxi, or they may have had one too many after a hard day at work. The capital cab users have emerged as the most forgetful passenger in the world, leaving behind a bizarre hill. I don't know how to spell it. Hall of a personal.
If a big room is called a hall, so it's pretty much the same pronunciation. Hall.
Okay.
Or
Okay. Behind the bizarre hall.
Do you know what this word means? Hall.
No, I don't know.
Let's have a look at this sentence. Leaving behind a bizarre haul of personal possessions.
Okay.
Now, in fishing, there is something called well, you sometimes say, I'm hauling in the fish with my net. And in transport, you can have haulage when you pull things from one part of the country to another using a big truck.
Yeah, I got it. Bags, like bags and so?
Yeah, so hauling is, a haul is a big collection of something. and
Okay.
hauling something is pulling some big amount of something. So leaving behind a bizarre haul.
Okay.
Now,
example,
okay, let's finish off the paragraph then.
okay. Of a personal possessions, including machine gun and a blew up sheep.
Right, okay,
Which,
some words then. So, first of all, the word comfort. Don't stress the ending, just comfort. Comfort. So, stress the first part, not the second. Can I hear that word comfort, please?
Sorry, where?
In the first sentence, it may be that Londoners switch off when they are in the comfort of a taxi.
Comfort.
Yeah, and the word work is often pronounced a little bit incorrectly. Can you say after a hard day at work?
After a hard day at work.
At work, yes. Okay,
Work.
and another difficult problem is when you have verbs with ed at the ending. How should we pronounce that? So we've got a word here, emerged. Now that's quite a soft kind of emerged. If I think about it too much, it gets hard to say. Emerged.
Yeah.
So, but we mustn't say jed, emerged. We must say emerged and soften that ending. So can you try
Emerged.
that word? It's quite difficult.
Emerged.
Yes, slightly French in the middle, so emerged.
Okay, emerged.
And that sound is more typical in English than some other languages. So we've got work, emerged, and world. So all of those sounds have this this sound. Now let's have a look at some words. Switch off. What do you think that's speaking about? Switch off.
Switch off. Where? Ah, yeah.
Right at the beginning.
Switch off. Switch off. Right.
Yeah. So we can switch off a light, but it may be that Londoners switch off. What do they do? If you switch off, what do you think you are doing?
They forgot or.
Just sleep in taxi.
Yeah, they certainly stop paying attention. They relax, maybe. Maybe they don't actually go to sleep, but they have been working hard all day, concentrating, and they suddenly turn off or switch off. They stop thinking too much. And why? What do you think this is the reason? What do you think they are explaining here? So they say it may be that Londoners switch off when they are in the comfort of a taxi, or they may have had one too many after a hard day at work. So there's two possible reasons. One too many, what do you think that might be?
Maybe hi Leon, this is Ahla.
Hi, Alan.
Maybe they when they sit in a taxi, it's like a relaxing journey to them until they get home.
Yeah, so that explains switching off. And then another possible reason for forgetful passengers may be this one too many after a hard day at work. Well, maybe on a Friday evening for some, but not for all workers in London, but some people may do this. What do you think this may be? If somebody says, I think he's had one too many, what do you think they're speaking about?
Drunk?
I think they might have had a couple of beers or something like this, yes. So they're a bit relaxed and not really paying attention too much. But probably the first answer, I think, is more likely. Now, this text has some phrasal verbs. How many phrasal verbs are there in paragraph 1?
You're asking me, right?
Anybody, because, you know, if
Blow up.
we can all speak, and then if we start getting to be a bit noisy speaking against each other, then we can start asking one person. But who can tell me a phrasal verb?
I think just one. Switch
Where
off.
is it? Switch off, yes. Now, later we will see some other phrasal verbs, and I would like to think about the style of writing in this particular article uses a trick which is quite nice. That is that instead of repeating a verb, you can change it from phrasal verb to ordinary verb. So there's a verb there, another verb, emerged. Could anybody give me a phrasal verb alternative for emerged? If something emerges, appear, yes, but that's not a phrasal verb. So we've got another synonym. It appears. People say that sometimes.
Show up.
Show up, yes, or turn up, yes, or turn out, yes. It turned out that. So we can change verbs. Now, are phrasal verbs more formal or less formal than ordinary verbs?
More formal.
Is that right? More formal or less formal? So if I say to you,
Formal, I guess.
I'm going to turn up late, is that less formal or more formal than I'm going to arrive late?
Arrive late, I think it's a formal, right?
Less formal.
So phrasal verbs are less formal than ordinary verbs, and if you speak normally in a conversation, then you tend to use phrasal verbs. One interesting thing is that when my children want to know the meaning of a word, they often explain it using phrasal verbs. So for native speakers, phrasal verbs are very normal and very informal and normal. So a native child may ask their mother what postpone means, and they might say, oh, it means call it off, and they might even understand that. But a learner of English will ask it the other way round. So learners of English sometimes have more problems with the phrasal verbs, and they find the other verbs easier, longer words easier.
Yeah.
But native speakers find it the other way round. Phrasal verbs are their bread and butter. That means they use them all the time, and they learn English that way. So they are less formal. Right. So we've answered the question, the first question. Switch off means, is it relaxed and not concentrating, unconscious, or without electricity?
A.
Relax.
Yeah, relaxed. So let's move on to the next one, paragraph 2. So let me see who we can ask this time to read. So, Long Queen, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, your turn then at the moment. Then, so could you read this paragraph 2 for me, please?
Yep. A survey of cabbies found that passengers lost more than 50,000 mobile phones in just 6 months. Among other valuables were a wooden leg, an antique telescope, and a bag of diamonds worth 100,000. One peeved man even left his drunken girlfriend sprawled on the back seat as a tip.
Yes, I think that might have been a joke. Now, 6 months and antique. Don't add any extra sounds at the end. So it's not months, it's months.
Months, okay.
You know, by the way, there are 2 th sounds. One is stronger than the other. So if I give you 2 words, mother and the, mother has the same as the word the, but there's another, thumb. I can show you there are 2, because if I use the thumb one in the word the, then I say th, but not the. So you hear there's 2 sounds. Some people tell you to pronounce this with your tongue between your teeth. I don't do that actually. Most people don't need to actually put their tongue between their teeth. So I say it with a th. It just touches the back somewhere around there, but you don't. Anyway, there are 2. So that word is months, and antique. Now, there are some words in that sentence which maybe you don't know. Can you tell me any new words that you've seen there in the paragraph? Longquin, can you tell me?
It's a
Peeved?
cap.
Yeah. Peeved. Okay, let's have a look at peeved first then. Keep thinking about the other words, but let's have a look at peeved first. One peeved man. Now, do you think that he feels a bit unhappy with the situation or quite content with the situation?
Unhappy.
He's unhappy, isn't he, with his girlfriend? So, what do you think, Ahalam? What do you think may have happened before this?
Okay.
Why do you think he could be so unhappy with her?
She was drunk and she lost.
No, maybe they had argument.
Maybe they had an argument, yes. And I'm sure that he walked away from her and had an argument and made a joke about leaving her as a tip. But it's something happened there, didn't it? Something happened. Maybe she drunk too much. Maybe she started misbehaving in some way. But he's not happy, so he was peeved, quite annoyed with her. So that's the meaning of the word peeved. Now, sprawled. Sometimes we use this sprawling suburbs. What does it mean? Sprawled on the back seat.
Like leaving it.
Laying.
Yeah, she's really taking up a lot of room. Maybe across the seat.
The back of the seat, yeah.
Yes. So she's sprawled. A sprawling suburb is a kind of suburb where the houses are starting to be more and more spaced out, but going on and on endlessly. Right. So now, any other words in paragraph 2? Cabbies, what are they?
The drivers of the cabs.
Yes. So some taxis are called cabs, taxi cabs, especially those black ones in London. They are called taxi cabs. Now, we've got some phrasal verbs here. Which phrasal verb means sprawled? Is it covered up, dished out, or spread out?
Spread out.
Yes. If you're taking up too much room, then you may be sprawled out. So, well, you could say sprawled out as well, but actually sprawled. So, can we make a sentence with each of these phrasal verbs? Covered up. What would that be? What does it mean, or what could it mean?
Covered up.
All right. What about dished out? You can try that one first. Dished out.
I dished out I don't know. Maybe I cover up my my car.
Yes. Okay. You can cover up your car. That's not so metaphorical. That's quite literal, covering up something. Mm-hmm. But sometimes you could use this metaphorically. You could even make a noun from it. There was a cover-up. Could you do that? There was a cover-up. What situation could that be?
Maybe something hide behind the surface.
Maybe people were not letting everybody know about something.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
it should have been on the news, but there was a cover-up.
Okay, the government has been covered up. The news or the cover-up news.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Has been would be covering. Has been covering up. Yes. So let's see. Which of these words is not similar in meaning to bizarre? So strange, weird, or busy. Let me post these into the Verbling chat as well. So
Busy.
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 yes. So bizarre sounds almost like bizarre,
Strange.
but there's a slight difference in pronunciation between those two. So we've got a bazaar was a bizarre bazaar.
What's the
Can you hear?
difference?
Bizarre.
Well, one has a schwa sound, so bizarre, but bizarre has a bit more of an I, short I sound, like in ship. So that's the only difference, I think. You know, there are some interesting words. I was looking at a word pair yesterday, which I just couldn't. When I was reading, some people couldn't hear the difference between these two words. Maybe Alok, do you know the word conscience, guilty conscience?
Yes.
Can anybody write that word, conscience? And the other word is conscious. So I'll write the other word, conscious. And conscience, like this, conscious and conscience. Alok, can you try and make a sentence with conscience?
Okay. The murderer felt with a guilty conscience after he killed his victim.
Good. And what about the other word, conscious?
The man who had the accident was conscious after he woke up.
Good. Conscious, awake, yes, and conscience, kind of feeling in your mind that of guilt feelings or moral feelings, conscience and conscious. So can you hear the difference, everybody, between those two sounds? Conscience
Yes.
and conscious.
Conscience
But what
and
about
conscience.
the words bizarre and bizarre? Bizarre is strange.
Strange. Bazaar with a P-A.
Bazaar, yeah, and
It's like
bizarre.
a shopping festival or a shopping. Sure. Is it correct?
Yeah, okay, let's move on now. That's great. So there's no more questions about paragraph 2. We know the words now, peeved, antique, just watch the pronunciation. So let's move on, past the pictures to paragraph 3. So now, before we read paragraph 3, I'm going to post it, and then I want to speak about reading numbers for a little bit. So I think we know how to read numbers, but let me just say some things about reading numbers. Now, sometimes when we read numbers, they ask us to make a sound after the hundreds. Not everybody does it, and some people make a very slight sound after the hundreds, like an and. So, for example, if I look at that first number, I have 54,800, and then I say and 72, a kind of and which is very unstressed but very slight. It adds a kind of punctuation because long numbers can be difficult to listen to if you don't punctuate them with some kind of sound. So I recommend that, but not everybody does it. Some people in America do it, some don't, and most people in Britain do it. And I think it's a good idea because it makes numbers easier to listen to, and it's like fish and chips. Okay. And it's after the hundreds I do it. But so something like this: 54,872, 4,718, 3,179, 923. So if you were to read numbers without saying the words thousands, hundreds, and other things, then it could be very, very confusing. So if I said 54872, you lose your place in the number. So all of this helps us to feel the number and compare numbers. Now, let's see. We've got Manuel. Can you read?
Okay.
Can you read that paragraph 3 for us?
Yes. In the past 6 months, 54,872 mobile phones 4,718 handheld computers, 3,179 laptops, and 923 computer memory sticks have been left behind in the capital's cap.
Yes. Good. Okay, great. So notice we use commas in English to separate the thousands, not a point. In some countries, the decimal point is not a point. There is no decimal point. It's more like a decimal comma. So in your countries, how do you separate the thousands? Do you use a comma or a space?
A dot, a point.
Yes. So what do you call the decimal point? Because it's not a point. Do you have a word for this?
I don't.
In English, we call it the decimal point. So when we read decimal numbers, for example, let's see, something like, can you see my number there in the Verbling chat?
Yes, 1.23.
Is it 1.23? I don't see 1.23 because if I say 20, that's 2 tens and 3. So we have to say 1.23.
1.23.
Yes, so after a decimal point, when we read numbers, we can't say 0.23. We can't look at that 23 as a number 23 because 20 means 2 tens, even if it comes 22,000. The word thousand then shifts it into the thousands, but so we say 1.23. Okay, let's go back then. So in paragraph 3, do we have any new words? Well, maybe not. So it's just numbers there.
Handheld computers?
Handheld computers, yeah, well, handheld. I suppose that would include all those devices which we can hold in our hand, like iPads and things like this, maybe. Okay. Small mobile phones and things like this. Notebooks. Anything like this. Notebooks are probably not handheld computers, but maybe they are. So I'm not exactly sure when we can say it is a handheld computer. I would think about something I can hold in one hand, and the other hand is just typing while I'm holding it. So I'm not sure exactly where the cutoff point is, but yes, we can see that we've laptops, we know. Laptops is a word which is quite common in Britain, but we also use the other word around the world. Notebooks, laptops, they're very similar. There's different words now for all of these technological things. So memory sticks, and I sometimes call them data sticks, and they're called all kinds of things. What do you call something which goes into your USB port, like a data stick? Do you use the word data stick in English, or what do you call it?
I call it, I don't know.
A memory stick, a data stick, or something?
Maybe a flash memory? Sorry, a flash.
If you say flash, though, I start to think about software, Java and Flash. So I still use some of these terms, like memory stick, data stick, because the word stick, I think, is quite a good word here because it is a bit of a stick. You stick it in,
okay,
and it's a stick. So I like that word. Anyway, numbers in English. So let's move on. First of all, find a single word to replace left behind.
Forgot.
Sorry, can you say again?
Forgot.
If you forget something, you leave it behind, yes. And so, okay, let's move on to the next paragraph then, about Bombay. So we'll ask, E, are you there?
Yes.
Would you like to read the next paragraph about Bombay? Thank you.
Yes. Bombay was second on the list for the lost mobile phones with 32,970 abandoned, followed by Sydney with 6,440, according to the new research based on the experiences of 2,000 copies in 11 cities around the world.
Okay, very well read. That last word, try to get it a bit more like world. Now, and there's something interesting I'd like to say about your reading when you said according to, because when I speak about tone, I'm not speaking about tone like as in one vowel sound rising or falling like you might speak about Chinese. I'm speaking about intonation of the whole word and sentence. So when you said according to, you had a rising tone. So you said followed by Sydney with 6,440 according to, and you had a rising tone there. That's not the best way to read it. You really need a falling tone there. Why? Why should according to be not rising but falling? So it should be like this. Bombay was second on the list for mobile phones with 32,970 abandoned, followed by Sydney with 6,440, according to new research based on the experiences of 2,000 cabbies in 11 cities around the world. My tone was according to, going down. Why? Why not according to?
Maybe the first part was more important than the second part of the number of the abandoned phones. This part was more important to hear than the according to the research.
Yeah, well, it's to do with that, but it's not so much how important it is, but that according to is referring back to that previous sentence. If you are looking back, you want your tone to drop. Let me give you an example. The common example I always give is that hello, in speech, comma, he said. How would you read this sentence? Direct speech, hello, he said. So now if I turn it round and put he said, can you read it now? How does it read?
Hello.
He said, yeah, he has to go up a bit because we're going forward. He said, hello. Hello, he said. He said, hello. Hello, he said. That's right. So when we intonate sentences, there is meaning in the intonation, and it helps people to be driven to listen correctly. So Bombay was second on the list for mobile phones with 32,970 abandoned, followed by Sydney with 6,440, according to new research based on the experiences of 2,000 cabbies in 11 cities around the world. So I'm looking back there. And when we abandon things, we often choose to leave them somewhere deliberately. Deliberately, yes. Can anyone give me a slightly more phrasal version of deliberately? 2 words. I did it deliberately.
Crazy.
I did it
Intentionally.
intentionally. That's 1 word. Can you give a phrasal 2 words? I did it on. So look at the next line. Let me post it for you. So I'm looking at something which is, so in this article, things were left behind. Whoops, I'm trying to collect it, but it's going wrong on my copy and paste. Okay, let's try. So I might have to edit it, let's see. Okay. In this article, the things were left behind, something accident. Is it by, for, accident? in accident. How do we say that? By accident, yes. They were left behind by accident. And now, which preposition goes with purpose?
On
Things
purpose.
on purpose, yes. I couldn't paste it properly, sorry, so I got a bit confused there. So, by accident, on purpose, deliberately. So now, next paragraph 5 is about the honesty of some of the black cab drivers. And I know that some of you spoke about honesty, and you had some of your property returned, which is really nice to hear. So now let's go to, sorry, I'm clicking all my windows. Arlo, you haven't really read anything yet. Could you read this one for me?
Oh, I have a horrible voice today.
Oh.
Okay, I'll read. London's taxi drivers also emerged as honest bunch, with 69% of lost mobile phones being returned by drivers and 79%.
Hang on just a moment. Let's check your numbers there, because it's 96, isn't it? And 97.
Yeah, 96. Yeah, I was focusing on the word percent. Why is it separate like that?
I don't know. It might be something to do with the fact that behind it's a web problem, I think, because there's something there in a little, and it's made of space, so it's not supposed to be one. It's supposed to be one word, percent. So I shall try and look at that. It's a bug, actually. Yes, percent is one word. You're right.
Many cabbies reported chasing after passengers to return their property, although one was rebuffed when trying to give a man back his suitcase, which turned out to be packed with pornographic material.
Yes, luckily we don't have to see that. But so okay. So now, when you said returned, the sound. Actually, I noticed today that with word and world and emerged and returned, we need to get that sound cleaner. The sound, I call it the bird sound. The early bird catches the worm. So can you say returned?
Returned.
Yeah, okay, because it sounds a little bit like, with some people, and I think with you a little bit sometimes, it sounds a little bit like it's moving towards the air sound.
Yeah.
And so there's chair and bird. Where were you? Where were you? Can you say, where were you?
Oh, where were you?
Yeah, you say, where is like a chair. Where were you? Okay, so watch that one. But your grammar is very good, and I think that I might be able to help you a bit more with your pronunciation here and there sometimes. But your grammar is excellent. Now, are there any words though that we're not sure about here? Rebuffed is interesting.
Rebuffed.
Can you tell me the situation? Maybe you can describe, Arla, what happens here exactly, although one was rebuffed. So can you tell me, maybe picture this whole situation, what happened? That the man came to the end of his journey, left the package in the taxi, and then what happened?
When he tried to take his suitcase, he was what happened?
So the taxi driver did something first, didn't he?
Yeah.
Maybe
I'm not sure with the word rebuffed.
Maybe if he was willing to give or not to give, he's not sure, or something like that.
Well, the taxi driver first noticed the package left behind, and then can you tell me the story from there?
Okay.
The taxi driver wanted to give to the customer the package.
Yes,
but,
we might say give it back.
Yes, but the customer felt ashamed because the package was wrapped in pornographic material. So I think maybe the customer said, no, thank you, that's not mine, or something like that.
Yeah, and it's very interesting. Maybe there's a background story here that he actually didn't want that material, and somehow, why did he have it? So it's interesting. Yes, so I think the taxi driver said, hey, you've forgotten something, and come back. And then he started chasing him down the road, but the man started walking off to get away. And he said, no, it's not mine. And off he went.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so
Okay.
let's move on to the next one about the Licensed Taxi Drivers Association spokesman, Richard Massett. So let me see who will be here to read this one. Who hasn't read yet? We've got Andy, you haven't, and Anatoly. Anatoly, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, Anatoly, you can take this one, please.
So London's taxi drivers also emerged as an
That would be
honest bunch.
emerged.
Emerged.
Okay, read that one again, because and let's hear it again, because we were going on to the next one. But read that one again.
Yeah, we'll down have. Okay. London's taxi drivers also emerged as an honest bunch. With,
Don't say the her on the honest, because in English, when there's a word beginning with H, sometimes we have it, like hotel, but honest doesn't have it. Honest is one of those without it. So that's why you can see an honest bunch.
As an honest bunch, with 96% of lost mobile phones being returned by drivers, and 97% of laptops. Many cabbies reported chasing after passengers to return their property, although one was rebuffed when trying to give a man back his suitcase, which turned out to be packed with pornographic material.
Packed. Okay, so some of your words came across in more like a French way. So reported is a bit like E, not report, but reported.
Reported.
And so let's see, rebuffed. And that was perfect. And packed. Packed with pornographic material. Right, good. Okay, good work. So we know all of the words, do we, in that paragraph?
Mm-hmm.
So which verb has the meaning give back?
Return.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Great. So let's move on to the next paragraph, and the next reader, Hamdi, are you there?
Yes. Hello.
So great. Thank you. So please read the next paragraph. It's not very long, I know.
Yeah. What is it, please?
I'll post it to you.
Yeah, please.
I posted it.
This one?
It's the one licensed. Yes, that's the one. Yes, it's there.
Licensed Taxi Driver Association's spokesman Richard.
Just hold on a moment. I want you to say Taxi Drivers Association. Now let's have a look at the sounds in Taxi Drivers Association. It gets a bit of a mishmash if you're not careful. So we need to try to think about that a little bit. There's driver, and don't stop, Drivers Association. See if you can connect all of that. Drivers Association.
Yeah. Okay. Licensed Taxi Drivers Association spokesman Richard Massett said, "All sorts of things do turn up in the back of cabs. Laptops, phones, umbrellas, and briefcases are the most common, but we do get wooden legs, and the story of the diamonds is quite correct."
Yes, good. Be careful with the word most, because this word is commonly made into a short O sound, like the most common. So actually, those two words, most common, have both of the sounds, the O sound and the O sound, common, and the schwa sound at the end of common. So the most common. Can you say the most common?
The most common.
Yes. Okay, good. So be careful not to say the most common. Say the most common. Now, do you know all of the words here?
Yeah, almost, yeah.
Most of them, good. And so we've got no particular new vocabulary, but
it's diamonds or diamonds?
Diamonds. Diamonds are a girl's best friend. Diamonds are forever.
Just what I was about to say.
Diamonds, okay, right?
Yes, diamonds. But really, they're only a big lump of carbon, aren't they?
What does it mean?
So good.
What does
he mean when he talk about wooden legs?
Well, some people have an artificial leg.
Yeah, got it, yeah.
Now, these days, they're not mainly made of wood, are they? But if people who lost their legs in the Second World War...
How can he walk?
will have a wooden leg attached to their body.
If he lost his leg, how can he walk?
Yeah.
Well, this is interesting because sometimes when we have time, we make up stories about these different people. For example, the man who was peeved about his girlfriend's behaviour. We can write the story about what happened to those people before this.
Yeah.
And here we can write something to say how somebody could leave their wooden leg in a taxi. I would think about exactly that problem. Now, does anyone have an idea about this? Are there other possibilities, for example? Is it only...
Maybe he was so upset with his wooden leg. He felt that he was more crippled with it at that time, and he just said, "Oh, I will leave it there, and I will handle myself without."
Maybe drunk.
Or maybe it's present for somebody.
Well, that's on the right tracks, I think. I mean, we don't really know, but I was thinking that if you have a wooden leg, then it's attached to your body. You don't take it off. And so maybe he could take his leg off and rest it for a while, but that seems unlikely. So I think if somebody left a wooden leg in a taxi, they were an able-bodied person. And so why did they have a wooden leg? Why might somebody be transporting a wooden leg?
It was a fraud. Maybe he was...
I have an idea. Maybe the wooden leg was not his leg. He was bringing it for his friend or his one of his parents.
Yes, and you know that blood and other medical supplies are rushing around cities all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe in this case, a hospital needed a wooden leg quickly from another building, and the quickest way to get it there was just simply to wrap it up and take it in a taxi.
Mm. How to spell, how to say, pronounce of abandoned?
Abandoned. Abandoned.
Abandoned?
So no stress at the beginning, like ahead, away, abandoned.
Abandoned.
Abandoned, yes. I would say you want to get the so abandoned. Abandoned.
Abandoned, okay.
So now we've got some... In the context of this article, which verb has the meaning turn up? Is it appear, arrive, rise?
Arise.
Appear.
Maybe.
I think appear. Look,
Yeah, appear.
Oh, look, there it is. Something turned up, yes. So people turn up, they arrive, but it turned up. Oh, there it is. It was there all the time, but we just saw it. And so we see phrasal verbs can have many different meanings, sometimes 3 or 4 different meanings. So when you learn phrasal verbs, you mustn't learn the 2 words and remember their definition. You have to remember their meaning inside the context of sentences. So just read a lot and check your phrasal verbs.
Okay.
So it would be quite good fun to actually think about the stories now. Can anybody think about those 3 people? We've got the peeved man and his girlfriend. We've got somebody with a wooden leg. Somebody who felt guilty. He suddenly had a guilty conscience about carrying pornographic material. And who else is there mentioned in here?
And who left his leg?
Yes, wooden leg.
His wooden leg.
Right. So let's go back to, we've spoken about the wooden leg. So can anybody give me a background story about the man who was rebuffed or the peeved boyfriend?
The man who?
So somebody was rebuffed for carrying material. I mean, the taxi driver was rebuffed. The taxi driver took the material to the man who had left it on the taxi and said, "Here, you've forgotten this, here." But he said, no, and ran away. So that's
maybe he was very impressing to say it's his own.
I will make a story for that one, and then you can think about the peeved boyfriend. So my story for this man is that he had been left this pornographic material by a friend who he wasn't really particularly friendly with. Some old schoolmate came back to his life, into his life, and said, "Hey, I left something for you." And he said, "Oh, it's not really my thing, really." And then he said, "See you later," and off he went. And then this man was in the house, and a few minutes later his wife was about to come home, so he had to lose it quickly. So he said, "Right, taxi." In the taxi he goes, and he said, "Easy, I leave it in the taxi. Thank you." And he paid the oh, just a moment, you've left this behind. Oh no, it wasn't me. Wasn't me. Okay, so now in the last minute, who can give me a story about the peeved man? Alec, do you have an idea about this peeved man and his girlfriend?
Maybe he was arguing with it, making argument with her, and she was drunk. He can't talking with her. She was not in her mind, so he left here and make a shock.
And how do you think she was behaving earlier that evening as she started to drink a little bit too much? Because, you know, I think if I had a girlfriend and I went out and she drank a little bit too much, that wouldn't be reason to be so peeved. If she was just a bit laid back on the taxi seat, I don't think I would get particularly angry about that.
Mm-hmm.
But bad behaviour maybe. What kind of behaviour? I think that she maybe she was flirting a little bit.
Or silly, very silly for him.
Maybe she wanted to hurt him, and she got drunk and tried to flirt with other men, and he wanted to take her to her home safe, and that's what happened in the taxi.
Something like that, yes, I think so, yes. So, right, okay, let's leave it there then. So you can all go off to the next lesson, which is about to start. And I have 2 lessons this afternoon, so I'll see you later today.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
So much.